Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday. What a Monday it is already, almost over, and stuff is still happening. Things are happening as we speak. I am Sybil Wilkes. Welcome to What You Need to Know. This is us live on YouTube and Facebook, and every Monday, our social activist, our youngin' Coy Malone, joins us. Hey, Coy.
Hey Sybil, how you doing today?
I'm good. Like the new hair. This is your Thanksgiving hair.
Thank you. Yes, I had to give it up to my roots this
All
week.
right. Okay. All right.
Show them off a little bit.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Thank
And
you.
you got a little edge up in the back and everything. So you
Oh.
straight. You straight. Okay. So Coy, do you have any trepidations about? I don't know who gave you the edge up and stuff, but do you have any trepidations about going and getting your hair done?
Not really because I don't go often and I tend to stick with the same people over and over throughout the course of however long I use their services. And so now what I've been finding myself doing is waiting a lot longer to go get my hair cut. If I
Hmm.
go get my hair done, this is a result of me doing my own hair and not going into the salon, just basically trying to avoid people, crowds with the numbers that are soaring well past the COVID numbers that we had a week ago. Like,
Right.
there's
Right.
definitely a risk out there.
Yeah, it really is.
Mhm.
That was a conversation we were having here today, and about getting your hair done, and I went months, without doing anything outside of shampooing it and combing it and letting it go or putting it up in a knot or something. But finally, stuff had to be done.
Yeah, at this point, we really have to become scholars of YouTube University
Yeah.
and hope that it works.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There is a
Yes.
lot of YouTube has become the friend of many people to our do-it-yourself lives that we have had to undertake. So here we are on this Monday, and as we begin tonight's cast, Coy, comes word that one of the stories that we were doing for tomorrow is pretty moot, or it led to what has happened tonight, and that is that the General Service Administrator, her name is Erin Murphy. Is it Murphy? I'll get it for you. But anyway, this is the GSA. She was appointed by Donald Trump, and she has now authorized the formal transition to the Biden administration. And this is what everybody has been waiting
We've been waiting for this.
for the last 2.5 weeks, right?
Yes.
Since he was formally announced as the president-elect. And as a result, we are now there. So General Services
Oh.
Administration, about an hour ago, has ascertained, this is what they call the letter of ascertainment, that the president-elect is the apparent winner of the November 3rd election, clearing the way for him to start. And it's Emily Murphy. Sorry about that. Erin Murphy is a character from Bewitched, something you know nothing about.
I
And
remember that show.
she was one of the twins. There were two little girls that played Tabitha, and and
Oh wow.
I think it was Erin Murphy was one of them. So the official says that the administrator of the general. I have a trivial mind. What can I tell you? The administrator said the official says the administrator, Emily Murphy, maybe she's Aaron's sister, I don't know, made the determination after Donald Trump, the efforts to subvert the vote failed across battleground states, most recently in Michigan. And the Michigan story is one that we have been following all day, which certified the Biden victory this afternoon.
Hmm.
And this now moves, clears the way for Biden and his administration to begin coordinating with federal agencies on plans to take over on January 20th. And in case you don't know how long that is from now, you can always consult the What You Need to Know newsletter. We do have a countdown on how many days, and I believe we are 58 days from the administration changing over. So that is the news of the moment. That is what is going to be as a part of our newsletter tomorrow. Things that are going to be happening tonight. Are you a football fan? I know you're a sports fan overall. I mean, you do a lot of sporty stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, but are you a football fan?
Somewhat. I'm at times embarrassed to say that my favorite team is the Raiders because they haven't been good for many, many years.
Yeah.
I did get a chance to catch a little bit of their game yesterday, and now that they're in Las Vegas, I'm just wondering if they're going to play any better.
Yeah. Well, does it appear that they are? Because I am a football fan, but
Mhm.
I've given up watching ever since the Colin Kaepernick lost his job. I have not watched a professional football game. So
Yeah,
now we're talking about 2 years or so. And I was a Bears fan because that was where I grew up. And I lived in Texas, so I was not a Cowboys fan.
I can agree with you on that one. With me and the Falcons, if you want to know what it feels like to be brought to the edge and let down constantly,
Mhm.
cheer for the Falcons.
Yeah.
It's
And
terrible.
that's the way it was a lot of times as a Chicago sports fan, period. Whether it was the Bears, as it is still the Bears now, the Cubs, which were 108 years in the making before they finally got to a World Series championship. The White Sox are still the same. The Bulls are awful now, and trying to make some changes there. But that is the state of existence for a lot of the sports in Chicago that I still follow and love. But my point is that history is going to be made tonight on the field as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Los Angeles Rams Monday Night Football, as they have an all-black referee crew,
Yes.
officiating tonight. And for the very first time ever, they have assembled this all-black officiating crew led by Jerome Bozier. I believe if you tell me the correct pronunciation for his name, I'd appreciate it. Jerome Bozier, Boger, who is a 17-year official. And rounding out the seven-member crew are black man umpire Barry Anderson, black man side judge Anthony Jeffries, black man line judge Carl Johnson, black man down judge Julian Mapp, black man field judge Dale Shaw, and black man back judge Greg Steed. And this is historic, a testament to the countless and immeasurable contributions of black officials to the game, their exemplary performance, and to the power of inclusion that is the hallmark of this great game. Okay, Troy Vincent, who is now the league's executive vice president of football operations. This was what he said in a statement. So we will see. I will probably at some point watch this game, admittedly, just because I would like to see black men on the field and officiating this game. The only thing that could be better, and we know this can't happen with this particular game, is if these teams were both coached by African Americans or black men, or quarterbacked by black men, or
Right.
both, right?
We need
That's
more
the
of that in the league. And I'm just wondering,
for
how are
sure.
they going to call the plays tonight? Like, are they going to say, holding, you did that. Get your ass back. No cap. 15 yards on the play. They're going to say something. They're going to slip up. I'm just waiting on that part.
You know what? They will be waiting for a call from the commissioner, probably, if that happens. So but I think that what you'll hear, Coy, is what you said is what we'll hear in our homes tonight. And people will be reading lips and trying to say, he didn't say that. He said, get your act there.
Right.
You wrong for that. Something along those lines. I agree, absolutely. Okay, so the first story that we had in the What You Need to Know newsletter today was about the Trump administration and their fight still to count votes, and especially in African American communities. They were going after the cities where there is a large Black voting contingency, namely Philadelphia, namely Detroit, namely Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
and others. And Atlanta, cannot forget Atlanta.
Yeah.
So there's this lawyer. Her name is Sidney Powell. You saw her in the press conference in which the dripping mayor of New York was there, and kind of went off crazy, went off script, and all of this last week. Sidney Powell was the tall white woman that was standing
Mhm.
behind the mayor. So She says she promised in an interview she did with Newsmax TV Saturday night that I can't tell you all the stuff we're doing, but we're going to put together a hell of a lawsuit, and we're just going to blow Georgia out of the water, and it's going to be of biblical proportions. Well,
Right. Oh
she
my
made this
gosh.
promise. We did the story, put it to bed last night, and after we put it to bed, they fired her.
She got
so,
what she deserved.
yeah, 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 and a lot like what people did to her boss. So, um, she said George is probably. This is what she said Saturday night. Going to be the first state I'm gonna blow up. Now, in my mind, that seems like language that is not only a lightning rod, but it's also Donald Trump language,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And she said something that I believe that he probably said or suggested, and hopefully we'll get ready to file, and it will be biblical. Well, it's not going to happen, at least, well,
Mm-mm.
not on her watch, because she's out of there. As we continue to watch what will happen, the third count of the vote, the second recount of the vote in Georgia, we will see what happens there.
My
And
thing is they are concerned with African American votes now because it benefits them. Had they had this mindset going into their campaigns, going into trying to get voters and sell themselves on their platform, the
mhm.
story might be a little bit different. So I'm just saying their priorities are way off because they
so
weren't
here's
concerned about Black people before.
So here's my take on that. I think because they did not do better overall, that Black women voted as much, if not more,
More,
against Donald Trump, because young Black people came out and voted more
yes.
against Donald Trump because of the way that they have been treated, and with the social protests that have taken place this year, they really stopped. And I say, Coy, and tell me what you think about this, were they not punishing the African American voters because they did not vote for him? And they're looking at something that they thought would be an easy way to punish Black voters, to take away their vote, and to put them on notice that you can't vote this heavily against us and not be penalized for it.
Yeah, definitely. There's always going to be backlash, especially when we show up in numbers and our voice and our votes count. This is shocking. I think Trump looked and was like, oh my God, I didn't think there was that many Black people in America. Well, believe it. We woke up this year. If any year we woke up this year and we got booties to the polls
Okay.
and showed up and showed out in record breaking numbers. Record breaking numbers. And I just think he's just a sore loser that doesn't know how to take a loss. He's been speaking to his followers and the people that work for him and rallying them up to believe that there's some sort of mistake with the votes
Hmm.
when all that happened is you just weren't chosen. That's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. I think, by going into Philadelphia, by going in, trying to spend, what was it? It was going to be a combination of like $7 million, and I think they whittled it down to a couple of counties, and that's about $3 or $4 million in Wisconsin. And then with this recount again in Georgia, they were really saying, Black folks, we're not happy with you people. What more do you people want?
Right.
And so that's what they're willing to spend, whatever it was, in order to once again suppress the Black vote.
Yes, and the
Um,
last that I checked earlier this evening, the votes have been counted officially, and Joe Biden has been declared the winner once again in
yeah,
Georgia. The
right.
last that I checked, so it's just
So,
over with for Trump.
so it is over with, but because of the closeness of the vote in
Hmm.
Georgia, Donald Trump has the ability to request this second recount, the third count overall, and because the difference between them was 0.26 or a quarter of a percent, right?
Hmm.
And which is about 12,000, almost 13,000 votes. So Biden lost a little over 1,000 votes in the recount. But because of that, if the recount had shown that Biden had more than a half a percent, lead in this Georgia vote, then Trump would not have had a leg to stand on. Not that he does now, but you wanna spend your money that way, then okay,
Yeah.
go right ahead. And this time it will not be a hand recount; it will be through the machines.
Yes.
So let me ask you, moving on to the most important election, and you're on the ground in Georgia. What are your thoughts? What are you hearing? What are you feeling about the two runoff elections between the in regards to the U.S. Senate seats?
So all eyes are on Georgia. I've spoken to people outside of the state, and they are very interested in finding out what happens. I've seen a lot of people that have been putting in efforts towards motivating people to vote in Georgia that live outside of Georgia. That's how major it is. As far as
Mm,
here in Georgia, we have started up efforts to energize citizens here. The main focus right now is to let people know that if you're 18 by January 5th, you can
yeah,
vote. So
yeah.
make sure that you register, and early voting starts on December 14th. We're
14th,
trying to
right?
get some things organized on the ground as far as events and what have you to bring about more voter awareness and registration. I myself have called friends and associates that did not vote this last election, believe it or not, and let
Mm.
them know, hey, listen, January 5th, put this in your calendar. If you're here for voting, you need to make sure you do so for early voting. And a good way to remember that is early voting starts the day after my birthday, so you can't forget now.
December 13th, folks. If you haven't made your birthday plans for Coy yet, then by all
Yes.
means,
So
yes.
December 13th, I want to see people send me their voter registration
Good for
confirmations.
you.
And
Good
I
for
want
you.
pictures of you going to the poll and pictures of you with your I voted sticker. That's what you can do for me for my birthday this year.
That's really nice.
Pick a senator.
And that look also meant for those of you out there watching, that's not the only thing I want. That's the look I saw. I'm just saying,
Put
getting the pictures.
$5 on it too.
And what's your Cash App name?
It's the same thing. My name is the same everywhere. $ Coy Malone.
All right, cool. Well, we will remember that too. So for folks who don't know, and you talked about this, I think last week or maybe a week before last, that you guys are thinking about doing an updated Get Your Booty to the Polls.
Yes, we are. So production has reached out and asked for, our availability. I don't have any details as of yet in terms of what this new commercial will look like, what this new PSA will focus on, because there are other things that are coming up on the ballot, including stimulus money. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
be voting on that here in Georgia. I forget the other item that's on the ballot, but there are other things on the ballot. And this is why I tell people, hey, listen, you need to make sure that you vote, because it's not just the major ticket that you're focused on. There are other items on the ballot every
Mm-hmm.
election that affects you directly. So if it really does come down to a vote to determine if Georgians receive more stimulus money, everybody needs to show up for that. I know it's been very, very hard during this pandemic. A lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have they've struggled during
Yeah.
this time. They've gone into their savings. A lot of people don't even have that.
Yeah.
So we need some stimulus money. We really needed it every month, but we're gonna take what we can get at this point.
So, Coy, here's also the very important part as you talk about the stimulus money. This is the really important part of people who are still waiting for, if not their first stimulus check, that second stimulus check. And the fact that the man who leads the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell, has all of this on his desk, and he has chosen not to move on this, right? And so, if by the will of the people, two Democrats are elected in this runoff election. If John Ossoff and if Reverend Raphael Warnock are both elected to fill these positions in the United States Senate, that makes the United States Senate even at 50 votes apiece.
Mm-hmm.
50 votes from the Republicans, 50 votes from the Democrat. That means it's a standoff. Who comes and breaks that tie? That is the Democratic vice president. So all of these things that we're talking about in terms of stimulus plans for stimulus checks for families, helping small businesses, hello, and others in these packages that have been set up or that the Democrats have tried to push through and just sit there on Mitch McConnell's desk. This makes all the difference in the world. Not to mention perhaps providing for better internet access for our children, better programs to go and have the coronavirus test taken, as well as what happens once you do get coronavirus and how you are treated, and those things, and perhaps in terms of the vaccine and the importance of that. Now, the vaccine may get out to the people by next month sometime, but it could also mean increasing the pace for regular folks like you and me to get the vaccine if we choose to take it. That's a whole nother issue.
That's a whole nother thing.
But then making it available to us is really paramount to all of this, along with accessing more funds and getting the stimulus checks out to people who need it and keeping businesses alive. And so that is really important thing to talk about. Coronavirus, and that's a part of our update. But we hit another horrible mark yesterday. Okay, I'll hold
Yes.
off on that. As we talk about coronavirus, Yolanda's giving me a note, so we'll hold off on switching to this particular topic. Okay, Karen Allen on Facebook. Please remind people in Georgia to check their status. A lot of people have been purged since the general election. And that was a discussion we had the other day with Barbara Arnwine and C.K. Hoffler as well, to check your status because names and voters were purged from the rolls between the general election and now. So just don't go. Voter suppression.
It is.
It
Georgia
is.
has one of the highest rates of voter suppression and things like that going on when it comes down to elections. One of the biggest ones that a lot of people remember is what happened with our current governor, Kemp, and Stacey Abrams. That was a travesty. There was no reason why Kemp should have had anything to do with the elections whatsoever because he was the current Secretary of State and they let that ride. And this man is sitting in office right now. And it's just sad to see that we have these things like that going on in this state and we continue to function like nothing happened, like they just sweep it under the rug. It's very concerning to me.
But you know, the bright side of this is that a man who did come in to fill that position, Brad Raffensperger, has really made a real impact on this election, as well as made an imprint on people's minds when he perhaps runs for this office again. Maybe he'll run for reelection. Maybe he'll take on Kemp in the primary for the governorship. I don't know who's going to be there on the Democratic side. Hello, Stacey Abrams. I don't
Hey,
know where you.
Stacey.
Just saying. Hi. Um, but it's just really interesting to see, the difference between these two men, and perhaps Raffensperger, learned from just what a horrible job Kemp did in using his authority, using his position in order to get his new job, which is leading the state of Georgia, and not doing anything about it. So it's going to be interesting. What do you hear? What do you think about who might run for the Democratic nomination for governor?
Well, I haven't heard of any nominees as of yet or persons that are interested in running. I think a lot of people are focused on Stacey Abrams simply for the fact that we feel like she is our governor. This is who a lot of people got out and championed for. I mean, if you go on my Instagram page, I got a picture in front of one of her trucks that has the billboard on the side and everything. To me, in my heart of hearts, that's my governor. So that's who I'm going to go. That's who I would expect to go up and run for office. I haven't seen anything else as far as any names or rumors of names. It would be great. And God forbid one of the senators don't make a Senate seat. I would like to see one of them run for governor as well. I feel like they have enough traction and enough know-how and knowledge and experience to fill that position.
Absolutely. And those are the two I was thinking of in terms of if Stacey chooses, maybe she's waiting for a job within the Biden administration. Maybe she's holding off on that, thinking that she will run for governor again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how, that woman's got so much stuff going on in her head. Who know? I mean, who knows where running for governor ranks in all of the things that she's got going on, especially in light of these runoff elections. So,
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying, so a reminder, very much, thank you, Karen. Please check your status and find out if you are still are able to vote in the state of Georgia. And if not, this is the time to register, to re-register, to make sure your status is up to date and everything is good. So that when you do go to early vote, which is the day after Coy's birthday, all
Mm-hmm.
the way up to the last day you can vote is January 5th. You just want to make sure that you have your status up to date. All right, so as I said, another horrific milestone, as now we are close to, if we're not already there, when I saw it today, it was pretty close to 12.5 million cases of coronavirus in the United States. More than 200,000 infections between Friday and Saturday. Let me just say that again. More than 200,000 infections between Friday and Saturday this weekend. The death toll has now passed more than 255,000 people. More than 40 states plus Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Guam experiencing a rise in cases over the past 2 weeks. And several governors are renewing the mask mandates, not in Texas, and limits on social gatherings to fight further spread of the virus. You are out and about, going to work and being socially engaged. What are you seeing and what are you hearing, Coy?
What I'm seeing is, and I'm seeing this from a distance because I've elected to stay off of work this past month just because I just did not want to risk it. While I was there, like I said, certain clubs that were enforcing masks, and then
Mm-hmm.
other clubs that were not enforcing masks. And you would maybe see a few customers with them on. A lot of times I didn't see any dancers with them on. Definitely don't remember seeing any waitresses or bartenders with masks on. I've seen several videos several times of parties, clubs
Yeah.
packed like nothing is going on. Like nothing is
Mm-hmm.
going on. I have seen a fair share of people at skating rinks who wear masks. I can appreciate that. I always see their employees wearing masks, management. They go through, they sanitize everything, and then they have a great ventilation system as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I've seen that. I was out of town this weekend. I did visit Biloxi, Mississippi. I saw people there with
Mm.
masks. They were there with masks. I didn't go out so much just because I didn't want to be in crowds of people like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
also drove over to New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, them
Mm.
people outside still partying. Like there were still quite a few folks on Bourbon Street and out in the middle of the street and drinking and drunk and having a great time. I think I can recall seeing maybe two masks. I didn't get out of the car. I just people watched from
Mm-hmm.
inside and behind my windows. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to participate in this. And it's coming from some of these gatherings. It's coming from people went out for Halloween and had big Halloween parties. And now that they're showing up with
Yeah.
COVID positive tests,
Yeah.
these people are going down to Puerto Rico and Guam thinking that they're getting away, but they're lounging with hundreds of other people on the beaches
Yeah.
and at resorts. And yes, it is true that you can be outside without a mask. Your risk is minimal, but still, you want to be aware of people around you and how
Right.
in close proximity you are. And I found myself even on the beach this weekend walking with a mask on. Like I didn't play
Mm-hmm.
that. Like I don't have time to get sick with a respiratory disease because one of the worst things they can tell you when you get COVID-19 is you have to go on a ventilator. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have not survived that. And there's been questions about, the treatment of COVID and what have you, and what's working and what's not working. So I just really urge people to understand the risk that you put yourself in and to be smart about it. But also I'm not for going to a party. Like stop inviting me to these phone parties. I'm not doing it. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make any sense. I'm not going to a pool party. I'm not going to a pool party on the roof. I'm not going to these cookouts. And no, I'm not doing that. It's just, I don't want to risk it. Mm-mm.
Yeah. One of the more interesting and disturbing things is the Transportation Authority, uh, TSA, and other transportation organizations um, came out and revealed that the highest numbers of people in our airports this weekend,
Oh, wow.
when the health authorities are asking people not to travel, not to get together with your families over the holidays, and not to. And these were some of the highest numbers they've had in the last 8 to 10 months
Good gosh.
since people started to go in the shutdown. So that's one thing. And the other is a horrible story. This is out of Texas. A family had a birthday party, and this now they have 15 members of this family of a gathering of maybe 40 to 50 people at this birthday party. And this one woman did chose not to go, but she did take her mother. And her mother got it. Her mother gave it to her when she came home. And 15 members of one family, and having lost members in that
Oh,
gathering.
goodness. That's sad.
It really is, but it's really indicative of, I hope and I pray this is not what we're going to have when we're back here next Monday, hearing these stories. But I don't know how you cannot, and just be very mindful of just the conditions, the situations, where you are. Look around you, are and it, like you did, and looking to make sure people are wearing their masks, that they are distant, physically distant from each other. I mean, even governors are, or speakers of the House, Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi, having or planning these big parties, and then they're being called out. The governor Newsom of California was seen at a party in which people were not masked up and they were not physically distant. And, he had to come clean and say, okay, my bad, I was wrong, but you still got to be home at 10 o'clock now with a curfew,
Right.
you know? So it's crazy. I did go out this weekend. I did go to see Damon Williams perform Saturday night, and it was on a rooftop. It was open, and it was distant seating. There were tables in which people who were together could sit together, and folks, mask on, mask off while you're sipping your beverage or eating
Right.
some really good tacos, by the way. And but and even the guys who were performing, and Damon was a headliner, and there were two other before them, making sure that they were distant. They cleaned off the microphone and things like that. So I felt pretty comfortable. I can't tell you enough of how trepidatious I am about this, but I did go to support Damon only because, and I'm telling you this, Guy Tori, only because it was open and I felt comfortable. If I gotten up there and seen that it was not open, and that the seating wasn't, that I didn't feel comfortable in the seating, I would not have stayed. But you know, we do what we can, and if you can, and other people I know absolutely refuse to go out at all. So
Right.
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But it's not cutting down on the business at the dance halls, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. People are going like never before. I'm seeing so many different parties and clubs. The clubs are packed. They are jumping. I'm like, you don't understand that COVID doesn't just stop at the door and say, "Oh, don't go in there. They're having a great time right now." No, it comes in there with you, and it
Yeah,
spreads around. And while we're still in the age of trying to figure out how to treat it, doctors are still trying to figure out how it's spread. They still don't
yeah,
even know for sure.
yeah.
So this is something that's real, and it's a pandemic. And if you do your research on pandemics, they last at least 2 years. And I
At
understand,
least.
yeah, people are they're tired of it. I'm tired of it, but we have to do what's necessary in order for it to go away or at least become manageable. And
Hmm.
that's what we're really looking for, is for it to be manageable, because it's not just here. This is a worldwide thing. that's
Yeah.
happening.
I don't know if you saw 60 Minutes last night, but they did a feature on what they call long haulers. And these are people who get the virus and then, as they are trying to get back to their lives, and they're not contagious any longer, but all of these other things that come along with the virus. A lot of them with stroke-like symptoms, their respiratory systems, as you mentioned earlier, still impacted by this. You name it, these horrific headaches that remind them of getting the virus at the first point, and inability to walk, which was what I was talking about, stroke victims and stroke symptoms and what have you. So it's really, and one, thing that really struck me is that these are medical professionals as well who are affected by this. And so they are able to empathize and understand what these people are going through. But many more medical officials have not had this and don't know, but it is a real thing. And you can't just say, well, I'll get it and it'll, then I'll be fine. Because
No,
because we are even having cases of people who are getting it again, and
right.
as well as some of these other symptoms that come and stay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the antibodies last in your body for 6 months.
Right.
So you can
That,
still do
that
other tests and they
that
will
we
test
know of,
positive.
right? And so, like you said, things are constantly in flux. They're all changing. And so you go with what you trust right now, and then perhaps it's going to, they're going to come back with some new information as this thing
Mhm.
goes along. But definitely, I think she was a doctor or a nurse. I can't remember. Um, and that was also another segment on 60 Minutes talking about dementia. But it was there was a young woman who was a runner, and how she has not been able to get back to running.
Mm,
And this was so important to her. This was a part of her lifestyle. This is who she was. And then they said that unfortunately she did not survive
oh
to get
goodness.
back to running. She had a heart attack,
Mm,
which is another thing that people are talking about as a result of this, strokes and heart attacks as a result
mhm.
of getting this. So, Coy, I want to talk about a story that you did in the newsletter, as our social activists. And this is a story that has been disturbing to me on so many levels, because having grown up in Chicago and near to Wisconsin, where things happened in such a horrific way this summer, whether a young man who was shot and physically wounded, to the extent that he will never be the same. And then what happened after that in Kenosha. And this is a young man who came from my home state of Illinois, drove 20 minutes, or his mom drove him, however he got there, and bought a gun with the stimulus money.
With the stimulus money. So a lot of people, and he's not the only person that's done this. It's just significant to this case as to how he acquired this weapon, because Kyle Rittenhouse is underage. He's not of
17.
legal age to purchase a firearm. A lot of people took their stimulus check and purchased firearms, bullets, and things like that. This is one of the things that I was following in general as the pandemic began, and then we got stimulus money, unemployment money. There are ammo shops that are sold out, gun stores that are sold out. There's even websites that are sold out. I've
Mhm.
have conversations with friends. I myself am also armed and licensed. So these are things that we talk about, especially because the state of Georgia is a right to carry state. So there are
Mhm.
guns down here galore. We have gun shows and all that stuff. So we know what's going on with guns and weapons and ammunition. And so what Kyle Rittenhouse did was he had a friend purchase the gun for him. He sent him his stimulus money, had him purchase the gun for him and hold it in Kenosha. So when the protests happened, he voluntarily went to protect the businesses in the area and to render first aid. So when it came down to the incident that happened where he killed two young men and
Mhm.
injured a third, it isn't clear as to what started the scuffle. They just you see video of Kyle being chased.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you see one of the young men throw a grocery bag. It just had his belongings. And unfortunately, this man had just gotten out of the hospital. He
Mm-hmm.
had mental health issues. His belongings were in the grocery bag. He throws it at Kyle Rittenhouse, and Kyle shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
And the man dies. And, you know, he's trying to use a strategy of, well, it's self-defense. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to arm myself in order to protect myself, because if I didn't that night, then I would have died. But there's no way, like, you're talking about a grocery bag of things that probably weigh less than a pound.
Right.
And your return action is shots fired from an AR-15 that just doesn't match up at all. And it's sad and unfortunate that this happened. And I remember seeing the footage from the night that it happened. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even apprehended by police. They didn't
Right,
even like
right,
try to
right.
tackle
So,
him
so
or nothing.
he's walking the street, and black people are saying, he's the shooter, he's the shooter. And they walk right past him to the black people.
Right. It's like that all the time. Like, if you don't understand that systematic racism exists and that it happens with the police, that right there should have showed you something.
Mm-hmm.
This man just shot two people in cold blood less than 2 feet away, and they died. And what happened? He was able to walk as if he was taking a walk in the park. It doesn't make any
Right.
sense to me. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. But anyway, I did catch up on some updates. So the friend that did purchase the firearm for him has been arrested and charged
Mm-hmm.
for providing a firearm to a minor.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that part of the case going on. Kyle Rittenhouse did post bond, believe it or not. They had a fundraiser.
And a very, very highfalutin fundraiser, if I can use that term. A lot of celebrity types contributed to this fundraiser, right?
Yes. Yes. What's the actor's name?
It was Ricky Schroeder.
I almost said Mickey Schroeder. Ricky Schroeder
Yeah,
was one of the major contributors.
He was on an old TV show. He was in major movies, an old TV show, Silver Spoons. He did The Champ and some other movies, and as well as NYPD Blue. I remember him from as well. Yeah,
that's one of his major roles. Everybody remember NYPD Blue. I
yeah.
think in the '90s. So yeah, it just goes to show you who people trust and believe and what they stand for when they give to contributions as such. And they stand for somebody that would voluntarily shoot people. And it just really, it just blows my mind how people place importance over, and I understand, yes, it's a business and it's established, and you know, people put their hard-earned time and money into these establishments. However, they're placing value of that over human lives.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was because of a police shooting or people that are looting and rioting, that business still holds more weight and worth than the people. And that's a problem that we need to correct and rectify here in the US.
And do you see that? And we're going to close on this because I know that the hour is getting away from us. But do you ever, in your lifetime, because considerably younger, do you see in your lifetime there being some parity there, and hope for the future?
I'm starting to see that there is hope for the future, just because people are aware of the injustices that Black people have suffered. And this year, I feel like, has been a catalyst to get things going in the right direction of saying, hey, we're people. Because if you think about it, and I understand why we're compared in terms of money and what have you, we can take it back to slavery. As slaves, we were viewed as property and business. We had a dollar sign attached to us.
Right.
If you were big and strong, you know, you were worth more. Certain skin tones were worth more. Sometimes women were worth more than men, or men than women, and children, especially the younger that you were, the more that you were worth. So now that we are free people, and you know, we're considered citizens, or we like to think that we're considered citizens, but we're shown differently. However, that value of the dollar isn't placed on us like it was then. We are valuable in a sense, and there are things that, you know, people want from us, and it includes our culture, the way that we speak, the way that we talk, the way that we walk. We're very, very valuable when it comes to those things that seem like fun. But when it comes down to things that are more serious, like when we care, when we show up to vote in record numbers, when we say, hey, listen, this police officer is harassing me, I'm being choked, I can't breathe, can you please get off of me? When that happens, all of a sudden, all the value is out of the window. And that's what everybody needs to consider and think about. Like, I just think that bottom line, it's a form of racism. It is. And the reason why that it hasn't changed, because America hasn't completely changed yet. America has a racist foundation, and it's still racist now. However, we are in the process of getting some things moving. We're seeing things like in healthcare, they're including more stipulations and regulations in terms of people's healthcare not being top notch because of discrimination. There are now legal laws, rules, and regulations that point those things out for hospitals to follow. So that's a good thing. And then now you're seeing things like, sports that are recognizing their Black talent. We have now an all Black officiating crew. First time, and it's 2020, and football has been out for years. So yes, I mean, we're having small victories everywhere, and we're looking for the bigger ones, but everything happens in steps.
Yeah, baby steps especially. But you're absolutely right. Let's see. Hope has corrected me. I sit corrected. She said the runner from 60 Minutes is still alive. The toxicologist, however, that was featured was passed. Okay,
oh, goodness.
Because I was listening to it because I just love listening to radio. And I was listening to 60 Minutes on the radio, so I wasn't able to make that connection. So thank you so much, Hope, for that correction. Also remind us that, oh my gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for this reminder. This is Mikey O. Nike O Tim. Remind us to give a shout out to Tyler Perry, who yesterday opened his studio and fed 5,000 people, 5,000 meals, as well as gift cards to people yesterday. And it was supposed to, I think you might know the time better down there, Coy, but I think it was like from 6 to noon it was supposed to run, and by 10 o'clock they were out. But 5,000, and God bless you, Tyler. I sent him an email the other day, and I was like, all these things that you're doing, I hope you're taking care of yourself. But I didn't know if that's what he was doing was making plans for this incredible show of love to the people of the Atlanta area. So thank you for that, for reminding us of
Wonderful.
that. And lastly, before we go, just want to wish a happy birthday to 9th birthday to Caleb Joyner, who also shares his birthday with his fly pop, also known as Tom Joyner.
Oh,
So we hope that you all are having a great day and hope to see Tom soon. And Caleb, you couldn't have been born on a better day. Although Slicey came very close. Thomas Joyner III came very close. His birthday was last week. So those Joyner boys all right there together, November, December, January.
Wow.
For real. Thank you, Coy, as always. Great job, and all that you do with working with us on the What You Need to Know newsletter. And continue to be safe out there, okay?
Thank you. Will do. And I'm looking forward to my gift of Lysol and hand sanitizer. I know you're going to send me some, so I'm on it.
I am. I've got packages lined up in my house that I need to get out. So I promise yours is right in there. I promise.
Great. Because it's been hard to find Lysol. That's the thing that has been sold out.
Yeah, I had to order this from Canada. So yeah. So and the transportation costs were almost as much as the cans of Lysol.
Oh my gosh! They're charging you like you're transporting keys of cocaine, except it's keys of Lysol.
I could
Lysol
have
trafficking.
I would have gotten a lot more coke than I got of. Paid a lot less. All right, darling. I'm not sure how to wish you a happy. Do I wish you a happy Thanksgiving?
Okay. It is Indigenous Peoples Day.
Okay. All right. So, as you observe Indigenous Peoples Day, have a good one.
Thank you.
Eat well. I know you're a vegan, so and one day I'm going to have you on with Jackie Reed, who is also has a great a podcast as well as a website, Vegan Sexy Cool. So put you two together as well.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, I'm mostly vegan. I might eat some fish on Thursday, so
Okay. Okay. So that's
stay
you and
tuned for the
Huggy
fishes.
because
Yes.
Huggy is a bit of a pescatarian too.
Hmm.
So yeah. So we'll get it all together. Happy observing Indigenous Peoples Day. And tomorrow we will see
Thank
you
you.
all. Guy Tori, Huggy, Lowdown, and Chris Paul will all be here. We'll talk about tonight's game as
That's gonna be
well as
fun. Mhm.
and as well as other things that are in the What You Need to Know newsletter, which will also include that GSA thing and giving us the transition into the Biden administration. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Be safe. Mask up. Wash your hands. Bye.